Hello, my name is Kiriath, and I'm afraid I have some bad news for you again. In fact, actually no, before we get into the bad news, thank you very much for all the responses to yesterday's video. I actually took quite a bit of the advice on board, implemented it immediately, and I scrapped pretty much every project that I had plans for. The stuff that I hadn't already sold off is now in the process of being sold. The stuff that is kind of part way done that I might be able to come back to later has all been shunted into the loft where I can't see it, as though it's no longer there. I mean, it is, but it's like up there somewhere, so I don't care. I have decided to actually focus on just one thing, just one squad, one lowly squad of Emperor's Children Terminators, and that will be the start of the Emperor's Children project that I've had in my head for ages and ages and ages, but just couldn't find the motivation to do anything about. So thank you for all of your advice, thank you for all of the responses to that. I hope it helps other people as well. It definitely helped me because as I say, I took quite a bit of it on board and actually made a step to get myself out of the slump by just fucking everything off. Anything that isn't related to Emperor's Children is gone. It's either sold, being sold, up there, out of my vision and thought, and instead I now have two of these chaps, which autofocus is not going to go for that, is it? I'll stick a picture actually in the video rather than do that so you can see it a bit better. I now have two Emperor's Children Terminators, which have been converted from Alaris Custodes, whatever. Fine. Look, you already know I can't pronounce shit, get used to it. So, the bad news, not the good news, the bad news that I have for you today is that if you were hoping to make a Renegades and Heretics army using the Forge World stuff, go full Traitor Imperial Guard, you are now, it would seem, pretty much shit out of luck because that range is last chance to buy. Once again, there doesn't seem to be much in the way of prior notice about this. It is just one of those things where you go to the website and it's like, oh, what is going to disappear today? Oh, okay, this entire range is going. Sure, fine, great, that's disappearing for good. Okay, there is some other stuff in here as well. There's the Dwarf command set and Empire Manon's Blade command set, so there's like a couple of random fantasy things that have been thrown into, but the bulk of this stuff, unfortunately, is Renegades and Heretics, and it's the lot. It's the conversion set, it's the Militia Enforcers set, it's the weapon arms, like icons and assault weapons, the vehicle crews, heavy stubber teams. They're all going. The Ogrins. Ogrins or Ogrins? I always said Ogrins, but that could be incorrect. Including, I have to say, the Plague Ogrins, I am actually genuinely upset about, because those are some funky, hideous models. I quite like those. To be honest, I'm not massively surprised by this one. I'm a little surprised they've lasted as long as they have, to be perfectly honest with you, because without wishing to upset those of you who may like these kits, these models, they are a little dated to me. I think the fact is, right now there are multiple places that you can get better looking Traitor Imperial Guard parts than Forge World. To be perfectly honest with you, I think you can do a better job by going to other websites and buying like third-party pieces to make Traitor Guard. A lot of that stems from the fact that, to be perfectly honest, the Imperial Guard kits as a whole are kind of old now. They don't look great. They have not aged brilliantly, I don't think. The more new releases we see, especially things like Age of Sigmar, like the quality of the Age of Sigmar stuff is ridiculous. It's through the roof. It looks great. Like, the detail is so crisp, it's so well made. And then you look at the Cadian sprues. They don't look great anymore. So I'm kind of surprised that this stuff has lasted as long as it has. I mean, I don't think it's ever good when stuff goes last chance to buy, because of course that means that those people who are partway through collecting that army then don't have anything to, they have to stop. They're not going to be able to continue making a unified force the way they want to. If you're like halfway through a planned force for Renegades and Heretics, it's kind of garbage for you. I'm not going to lie, that is not a nice position to be in. Unless you buy everything you need to right now and hope you get it before it goes out of stock, the chances of actually finishing that project are now very slim. But the problem for me is that the guard stuff as a whole, like the vehicles look fine, and the Ogrins look okay. In fact, the Ogrins are relatively, I say, new compared to the actual Cadian kits. The Ogrins are pretty new, in that they're not fucking 20 years old or whatever. They are looking dated, they are looking a bit ancient, and I have to admit, I'll be totally blunt, totally honest, I actually had to ask whether the Renegades and Heretics stuff, whether there was even rules for them for 8th. Like, I honestly didn't know. I've never really come across anyone who plays them. I've never spoken to anyone who collects them. I never see any, like, you know, if you go to various forums, subreddits, and if you follow, you know, the right people on Twitter, you are in a good position to get constant, like floods of images of in-progress stuff, of conversions, of finished armies, of like glamour shots and battle reports, and all of that stuff. Across all of the platforms that I look at 40k stuff on, I literally cannot think of a single time where I've seen any of the Forge World Renegade stuff. I genuinely can't. Like, I had a quick look before I started recording. I was like, surely someone I follow, someone somewhere must be doing this, right? Someone's got to be. I follow so many people on Twitter who are painters, who are war gamers, who deal with 40k and Age of Sigmar, and you know, I've got quite a nice Twitter feed now in that it's 90% people posting pictures of awesome models, which is exactly what you want. Couldn't find nothing for this Renegade stuff, and I would guess at this point that the interest, that the sales of this stuff is just so low that there is literally no point them continuing with it. I would imagine it is probably, you know, it is more hassle to keep it in stock than it is to try and, like, it's just a waste of time for Forge World to keep this stuff going. Now, that is a shame. It is a shame, especially when it's something as established as this. Like, this is quite an established range. It's been on Forge World for I don't know how long. In fact, I genuinely don't know how old these kits are, but they are getting on a bit, because I was looking at this stuff quite like a good couple of years ago, I'm sure. Again, though, the issue isn't so much of it going last chance to buy, because it's not hugely surprising to me. The issue is the lack of communication again, the lack of warning. I mean, we're in a really weird position where, like, on a weekly basis now, I am praising Games Workshop either for the quality of their releases, for the quality of their marketing, or for the quality of their communication. And at the same time, like every other week, I'm sat here like, and we're losing a load more stuff, no one's had any warning, and it's just going, bye, that's it. Where's the communication? It's like, it's such a weird difference where I realise it's only a small thing, but the fact it's only a small thing makes it frustrating that it's not happening. There isn't an email going out going, hey, due to a lack of interest, these models are going to be put last chance to buy. If you want to grab them, I would do so now, instead of just going on, like, looking at Forge World and being like, oh shit, that army I was collecting is about to disappear. Oh god, that's not great. It's just a courtesy thing, more than anything, I feel like, that isn't being followed. My ultra-optimistic side, which this is incredibly optimistic, and is most likely not even remotely going to happen, what I would love to happen is that this stuff is replaced with something new. I've realised that the chances of us getting new guard kits at this point are incredibly slim. I mean, we've had the Codex release, God knows how long ago now, however many months ago that was, and we didn't get anything for that. On the contrary, we lost all of the, we've lost all of the other regiments. All of those kits have disappeared. I'd really like to see that all of those kits updated, and for there to be an actual, genuine, nice push with releases for Renegades. I mean, it's always struck me as being odd and a little frustrating that we have all the Chaos Space Marine stuff in the world. Chaos Space Marines are talked about constantly. There are obviously not as many options for Chaos Space Marines as there are for Space Marines, but I wouldn't say that the range is, massively limited. At least with like the Thousand Suns and Death Guard stuff and the chance to bring demonic allies, it's not a bad range overall. But Chaos does not survive on Space Marines and Demon Armies alone. Renegade Imperial Guard is a big part of what makes Chaos the threat and the problem that it is, and it's constantly mentioned how there are, hordes of mortal slaves. There's just nothing really representing that on the tabletop apart from this stuff from Forge World, and now this stuff from Forge World is going. I kind of want to see that explored. I want to see that on the tabletop more. I want to see Games Workshop actually try and make something of it, because it's one of those things where it's a veritable goldmine of good stories and interesting armies and a different take on something that we've already got that I don't think would require that much effort. I mean, if you can chuck out an index for Renegade Imperial Knights, why can't you chuck out an index for Renegade Imperial Guard? I just, the options don't need to change. Rename some shit, that's about all you need to do. Functionally, it'd be pretty much the same. Maybe have a limitation on the amount of armor. Maybe boost the number of maybe just switch things up a little bit so that it's more mortal combatants with guns as opposed to mortal combatants with tanks. Just switch it up that way a little bit. I'd like to see that. It going away is kind of sad. It's not unexpected, but it is kind of sad, and it just reminds me that it's not being explored as well as it could be. That there is a big untapped there's like an untapped well of interesting stuff that is just not being taken advantage of. And, again, the lack of communication is genuinely frustrating. That we're in a point where you can heap praise on Games Workshop pretty much any day of the week, and it is justified, to be in a position where, every time something comes up on the Last Chance to Buy, it's like, could you not have fucking said something a little bit earlier, lads? What is this? What are you just throwing it out there for? Tell people. Just tell people. Hell, like a courtesy email blast for people who've already bought this stuff within the last year. That'd be kind of cool. I'm assuming that when people check out, if you need an account, you have their email address, you know what they bought, it's attached to your account. Say, hey, you bought a bunch of this shit, it's going Last Chance to Buy in a month. Grab it whilst you can. Anything like that, something like that. It would do wonders for at least the appearance of communication. Because at the moment it appears like there's none, which is crap and annoying. So, yeah, if you were looking at making one of these armies, I'm afraid you are now either going to have to go, well, let's be perfectly honest, you're either going to have to go to somewhere like Victoria Miniatures or Anvil Industries, or you will just go and find a recaster, which is something that is happening increasingly as these things go Last Chance to Buy. Recasters are going to get more and more popular. They're going to be more and more of an option for people who want to collect these armies or are part way through and never got a chance to actually finish them off. And really, I don't know. Regardless of where you stand on the morality of that, options are becoming limited in terms of collecting certain things from especially Forge World. So it is little wonder that now every time I see Last Chance to Buy being mentioned, there is, without fail, multiple people mentioning, well, it's time to go to a recaster. Which, I'll be honest, can't really blame you if you do. Oh, also, the Decimator C-Beam Cannon and the Decimator Storm Laser, those are both going Last Chance to Buy. Why those two weapons in particular, I have absolutely no idea. The Decimator itself hasn't gone Last Chance to Buy, it is just two weapons options for it. So, who knows? Who really knows? That one is especially weird, I'll be honest. Not selling all the weapons for the thing is a bit off. But yeah, anyway. Sorry if you were collecting that army. Sorry if you're thinking about it. The opportunity is gone. Luckily, there are plenty of third-party places where you can buy equivalents that, frankly, at this point look a little bit better than these did. The Imperial Guard as a whole, the range needs a refresh anyway. I would love to see this kind of stuff appear in plastic. I would not be surprised if it doesn't. In fact, I'd be surprised if it does, because it seems a bit of a stretch, but yeah, disappointing, not surprising. Were you going to grab any of this stuff? Are you going to grab it now before it goes? Are you one of those people who's now going to go and find somewhere else to purchase this stuff? Be interesting to see if there are any of you out there who are actually interested in the Renegades. Because, as I say, I just haven't really seen that interest myself personally. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, free for you to click videos, Patreon, subscribe, all of that stuff. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to. And I will see you for the next one. Toodaloo.